Paul George and Danny Granger on the perimeter. Roy Hibbert is out there with West. And it's Collison in at the point. And for Portland, Aldridge and Camby up front. Crawford out there with Felton. And it's Wallace in at the small forward. Aldridge fires. Nice open look, but it's no good.
I'm just so impressed with the work Roy Hibbert has put in since his final year at Georgetown. He's lost a lot of weight. He's gotten himself in terrific condition, and he's a very skilled player down on the block.
Goes up. Wallace misses.
That's exactly where they wanted to go with the ball, even though he didn't finish.
And Steve, you're right about Roy Hibbert. Last season got off to a hot start. He had lost about 25 pounds doing martial arts. All those different workouts associated with that over the summer. He also addressed a undetected asthma problem, which Clark helped his endurance.
Yeah, it did help his endurance, but I think as the season went on, Roy thought maybe he had gotten too light by year's end, and now he's gotten back up to around 260. And again, it's not just what you weigh, but it's what kind of strength you have and where is the weight. He needs a little more lower body strength to anchor him, and the right kind of weight and muscle is going to continue to allow him to be a very effective center in the NBA.
Let's find out what Doris Burke has for us.
Well, Kevin, Nate McMillan gave me a few minutes to catch up with him. He said that he has a team prep for the shot blockers their opponents feature and has a countermeasure for it. He said we're going to turn things around on them, getting them up in the air with pump fakes, creating some contact, and get them in foul trouble. Let's see if they're successful.
All right, Doris, thank you. Taking on a defense like they're facing today. Clark has certainly got their attention.
Yeah, you know what, Kevin? I think they're going to
All I do is win, no matter what.
Dictate what they do offensively instead of taking what's available. Take what you want.
Steve?
Well, that's the only way to go. I mean, this is a game about aggressiveness, and if they're not aggressive, that defense.
I go ham like him, man. This is not the appropriate time.
For the Trailblazers, it's been a slow start here. 7-point differential.
Well, the Pacers have a reputation of being an up-tempo run-and-gun team, but last season they were just in the middle of the pack in fast break points. They were really more of a defensive club than anything.
Releases.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The shot by George, no good.
I'm not sure what he was thinking there with that shot selection.
We call that brain neutral, partner. He wasn't thinking.
Camby, fended by West. Felton. Green for 2 points. Steve, let me go back to the Pacers and give you a number. Touched on their defense. You did. It ranked 12th best in the league last season. Clark, that's a good place to build.
That's a nice place to build and a really nice improvement from the prior year. I like Granger as a two-way player. He's pretty good defensively when he's locked in. Collison is quick and can be a factor pressuring the ball. And the big guy, Roy Hibbert, made the greatest strides, being able to defend the paint without foul.
There's the bucket. Good. Wallace has got his first points of the game.
Got to be very careful with this team. They can be really strong inside if they get good position.
Well, you give up that kind of deep position, Steve.
Under the paint, just some nigga dimes.
That's a precision shot. You've got to be precise. No room for error on the floater.
Here's Aldridge. Aldridge can't get that one to fall.
Yeah, he's struggled with his shot this quarter, and he's got to find a groove somehow.
Last year, Nate McMillan signed a 2-year extension to stay with the Blazers. Portland has had an unfortunate run of health with their players and thought about starting over with a new coach. It seemed, I think the right move was made in keeping McMillan.
Pacers leading by 7. Pass to Granger. Guarded now by Gerald Wallace. Tries to save it. The Pacers able to recover. Here's Hibbert. On the board. Pays off with second chance points.
What's he going to do today?
Hibbert's got 6. And here's Felton from the arc. That's good.
I like that. Run to the three-point line. Find a wide open shot.
And it's Indiana's ball. 6-point lead. Clark, more on McMillan. He's been a stable force for the franchise since he came over from Seattle. Steve, I think they need him in the worst way up in Portland right now to give him that stability.
Well, I agree, Kevin, because they've had all the injuries to the roster. They've also had front office upheaval. So in many ways, Nate McMillan represents the Blazers in that city, and he represents the stability that they need. They're in attack mode early, guys, really cleaning up the glass.
Well, it's +5 in rebounding here in the first quarter. I mean, in a 4-quarter game, if that margin continues, that's +20 rebound. That would be almost assuring.
Even West is 5 fucking rebounds. Bro.
You know, the coaching staff in Portland just raves about LaMarcus Aldridge, not only because of his ability as a player, but his vocal leadership. He's by nature a quiet guy, but he's really stepped up and given this team some leadership.
And Aldridge, you know, some people said he was a borderline all-star last season. I thought he was a legitimate all-star last season with Brandon Roy dealing with knee surgery. I mean, Aldridge has really become the primary scorer now for the Blazers.
Kevin, how about he hit a career high in points while also having probably his most efficient season in terms of production per minutes played.
Yeah, good point.
I think he's their best player, and
honestly,
he also has grown in a
a
leadership fashion, and that's, you can't ask much more than that from a guy.
Because he thought he was going to have Odin on one side, and he's playing out of position. So it's a tough. Tough
yeah, but he's done a really nice job of handling the circumstances as they are, not as he had hoped or expected them to be.
Now here is George, still looking to get on the scoreboard.
Boy, that's a hard pass to make. You got to lead your teammate absolutely perfectly.
And Crawford picks him up defensively. And once again off the mark by Indiana.
You know, as we look at the Blazers, check them out. I mean, a small market team, tremendous fan support. They're the only game in town as far as a major sports team is concerned. Has not been shy of basketball trying to spend and being willing to spend to make them a contender.
They fucking went off the backboard like 100
following
per
the score
hour.
by Jamal Crawford to end the run. And Granger with the basket on the assist from David West.
That was, you hit
Granger's
it so hard
got
it went right back to an open dude.
Clark, as you said, going back to the Blazers, small market team, big city pocketbooks. And Steve, now also a pretty new front office. They're going to another general manager this year.
Yeah, and despite the change, Portland's front office continues to be innovative and aggressive, making moves to try to improve this team. We know they've got plenty of money with Paul Allen at the helm, but can they put forth a consistent plan, and can they stay healthy with the players on their roster? Those are the questions I have.
Now Collison, after the missed three from Raymond Felton. He goes up. It's blocked, and they're able to recover.
They haul in that rebound, but they've got to pick things up in that department a little bit.
Things can even out later on, but it's not a good sign for them if this rebounding disparity grows through the rest of the game.
A free-flowing first quarter. Great scoring.
Bullshit. My fucking team, dude. Could have got a big shot off and never to the fucking three-point line. What the shit?
Now the second quarter getting ready to start up. Aldridge and Camby up front. Felton is out there with Crawford. And it's Wallace in at the 3-slot. That's the group in the game for the Trailblazers.
Great job defending the hoop there.
So important to have good presence defensively inside.
Nice movement. And he was camped in the lane there, and he gets the 3-second
Still
call.
posting up. Still posting up on the playground.
Here is Collison. And keeping us updated from the sideline, let's swing it over to Doris Burke for an update. Hi, Doris.
Well, Kevin, one of the things that impressed Coach Nate McMillan about Gerald Wallace since he acquired him in a trade last season, his fearlessness. Coach said, in this league, there are men and there are boys. Gerald is a man. When you're in this league, you need those guys that don't fear opposing players. He's added an edge to the Blazers, Kevin.
Thanks for that, Doris. And make no mistake, Wallace plays with no fear.
You don't get the nickname Crash by playing tentatively, that's for sure. Finger roll, that's pure style, guys. I like that.
Felton dishes to Wallace. Out of bounds. And they'll keep possession.
He was just a hair away from making that steal.
Steve, I like the instincts there. Terrific. To see the pass coming and knock it away, well done.
And Granger picks him up defensively. Wallace, the pass to Felton. Dishes it to Camby. From outside the arc. Out to Wallace. Three-pointer. Hibbert pulls it in. Hibbert's got his 5th rebound right now in the game.
I didn't even want to pass it.
You know, Kevin, scoring was a slight bit down for Wallace last year, yet his points per game stayed about the same between Portland and Charlotte.
Guy is a potent offense right now.
Yeah, Kevin, really the offense is flowing quite nicely right now.
Playing with a lot of confidence, just some self-assurance there. I like what we're seeing.
All he wants to do.
Camby kicks to Felton. A three-pointer, no good. Good point, Clark. Going back to Wallace for a moment. Steve, about 15 points and 8 rebounds for him last season.
Well, the move to Portland was good for Wallace, guys. His field goal percentage went from 43% up to 50%. I think he was energized by the trade. They enjoyed playing in Portland in front of those great fans. And I would look for another great season out of Wallace this year.
Well, I love Paul George's game. From Palmdale, California, north of L.A., a 6'8" athletic wingman. I think he's got a chance to be a two-way star in the NBA.
Kurt Thomas, he's checked in for LaMarcus Aldridge. Shoots from the elbow. Good on the jump shot. Crawford's got his second basket of the game. Clark, going back to Paul George, drafted 10th by the Pacers back in 2010. They really needed another elite scorer to pair with Danny Granger. And so, Steve, they took a flyer on George.
Well, and I think what's interesting, Kevin, is that they didn't really get the scoring from him, but what they got was an excellent defender. And during that Chicago series in the first round of the playoffs, they relied on Paul George to cover Derrick Rose at times during that series, really utilizing his great length and athleticism on the defensive end.
Wesley Matthews checked in for the Trailblazers.
Now you can see why the defense is willing to let him take that shot. That's really not his range.
But they recover it. Collison against Crawford. George dishes to Collison. Portland grabs the miss.
You know, for the Pacers last season, they really had a difficult time against Western Conference teams. I mean, only going 9 and 21 in those matchups.
Matthews is called for a loose ball foul. That's his first foul.
That's an over-the-back foul, but it's one that you can live with. He's trying to be aggressive, and I like that.
Yeah, you know, I used to do that as a player myself, Steve, but you got to be smart about going over the top. I don't think he had a chance to get that rebound anyway.
We talked about the troubles, Clark, against the Western Conference. For whatever reason, Steve, they struggled to defend Western Conference opponents.
Well, I thought the biggest thing was the West was so much deeper than the East last year, Kevin. The East had some strong teams at the top, but overall a weaker field of teams. When you go out West, and on a nightly basis, you're going against a really tough team. I think that's the disparity in the numbers for Indiana.
You know, Kevin, I thought the Pacers really showed well for themselves in that series against the Bulls in the playoffs last year, and Danny Granger was fantastic. His game was really on point.
And the Trailblazers making a change. Aldridge is checked in. Another shot. Foul call that time on the way up. That'll give him 2 chances at the free throw line here. He's off on the first. And Steve, for the Pacers, it had to be encouraging to see Danny Granger at his best when it mattered the most.
Yeah, he played extremely well in the playoffs, as Clark mentioned. And he's one of those guys, I think, who's so versatile. He can do so many things on the floor that he's got the ability to hurt you in a lot of different ways.
Fast break. Here we go. Wallace, the pass to Felton. Wallace kicks to Camby. Let's check in for the Trailblazers. Here's Collison. Now Smith defending. Now the feed to George. Shoots the 3. Indiana again missing. Trailblazers trail by 6. Crawford. And he sails in for the layup. Crawford's got 6 in the quarter.
Boy, this is scary. You get a score rolling like this, you're in some trouble.
Yeah, you can't leave a guy like that on an island. I mean, you got to bring some help.
And the Pacers can't get it to go.
Even with every shot clanging off the rim, he seems determined to keep hoisting up these threes. It might be time to get inside of that arc.
Back to Smith. Picked up by Collison. There's Crawford with the 3. David West grabs the miss. Pacers leading by 4. Collison kicks to Hibbert. Pushes up. The shot's good. Collison making the play. Hibbert's got 12 points in the game. Smith in the posts, working on Collison. Crawford outside, and that one's good.
He can be dangerous from out there. As a matter of fact, he can be lethal. His first from the arc after having none in the first quarter. Keep an eye on him.
That's going to be over and back. Not watching for the line that time. Here's Smith.